Hello, welcome along. Welcome to our fourth and final live stream, really, I think, of the current season. We've been going through, we've done an awful lot in this Back to Basics course, and I think there's some things we need to make sure that have really landed and that are deeply ingrained now in what it is that we're doing, and how it goes about making sure that we've got the best that we can out of our Power BI deployment, and ultimately as well our Power BI investment, because really that's what it's all about, isn't it? We're not really all that interested in just what have we done, we're interested in what's the ROI going to be. That's what our boss wants to know, that's what the business wants to know. We've put in Power BI, what do we get out of it, what's the business benefit? So there's a few things I want to kind of cover with this. So I thought, well, let's have a look at this deck. It's one of these decks that we've got around the office and kind of just made a couple of tweaks for it. Hello? There we go. So let's see. All right, so what we've ended up with is this idea, don't we, that as we proceed, as we do more with our Power BI content, we need to stop thinking about it in terms of just these data model app, data model app, data model app. Because what that's going to do is lead us into causing conflicts as we go through. Sorry, I can hear myself freaking me out now. And those conflicts are going to be what will effectively undermine and prevent our Power BI environment succeeding and us getting to success in what we need. So this is where it becomes important. And what we actually say, this is the real world side that we talk about, that we actually have data, model, and it goes to multiple apps. So next time we have data, model, and it goes to multiple apps too. And the key thing, this is a bit that I want you to think through and understand, is that the model to app side is something where we're saying we're taking process or processes that are feeding into model, and we're delivering something up that's going to serve multiple people based around their work functions. So this is why, for us at Geordie Consulting and for Geordie Intelligence as well, we push the idea that your app needs to be focused more around what the person, the consumer, does for a living. So you have your senior leadership team app, you have your sales team app, you have various other apps on that side of things. And you might have different audiences within there that relate to different hierarchies within the organizational structure. But it becomes a very consistent way of working, and it makes it difficult to consider a lot of the other things that get mentioned. In particular, one thing that gets discussed a lot is the deployment pipelines. Do they work? Do they not work? And the reality is, deployment pipelines are very good up to a point. They're very good at going from source to model. And then after that, they kind of stop. So as long as you just do up to model, it will work. The challenge comes, we go back here, where data doesn't just come from source system. So if you've got things like your shared calendar, and you might have shared exchange rates across your business. And if you're a multinational company, you use standard sets of exchange rates. If that's going on, then what you find is that you need to be careful when your deployment pipeline uses those in case it's changing them, tweaking them, or doing anything like that. So for that, be aware. Okay, but that's kind of one of the things. Deployment pipelines up to model, good. For visualization stuff, bad. Going really bad, is what I would say. Okay. Yeah? So let's move on. So the bit next was around documentation, wasn't it? And we'll have a look at some of this as well. So documentation, there's two sides to this documentation discussion. When we talk documentation, most people, they assume, they think that we're talking about the technical. And in a lot of ways, technical is really important. You have to get your technical documentation right. Your technical documentation will form the start of what it is that you need when you're going through to the next phase of saying we're going to iteratively improve our model or make our model get better. You will always need to rely on your you will always need to rely on the technical to do that. So one of the things that we will do, and we can have a look, maybe not in this live stream, actually no, we can do it in this live stream. We will have a look and we'll see, we could go and have a look and see, well, this is the Vertipaq file that we start with, which is, for us, always the cornerstone for any oh, we need to do an update cycle. Update cycles will come through in two areas, won't they? So if we go to our whiteboard, so we will get our update cycle. So, okay. Yeah. So for a, where are we? Is that not working? I hate these live streams when I'm there and we've talked about what's going on. Prepped everything, discussed it all, and then mics don't work. Is that right? Okay. So if you think through and say, right, what are we doing when we're saying we're doing an update cycle? We'll be looking and we'll be saying, well, is there something to be done here? Does the data bit need to be tweaked? Has there a process change happened? Invariably, what we'll also have is we'll have somebody said, it would be really good if we could have this measure in app 3, for example. We want this measure. Insert measure here. It could be concurrent users. It could be anything like that. You've got measures that people want to see. How do we put that together? How do we facilitate that? Is kind of the question that you're going to have. So one of the things that we would always look to do is to say, well, we're going to do an update. Before the start of that update, let's understand what requests have we got here. So we've got a list of requests. And then what inefficiencies, issues are we carrying in our model that we know we need to do something about to make better? And those are the two things that you'll then kind of look through, work out from there what your update cycle is going to be. And for us then what we would do is say, well, the next iteration, this sprint, whatever it is, this is the Moscow for it. The Moscow, yeah? So Moscow, yeah, must, should, could, and not this time, won't. So we've kind of got that 4-box answer that we kind of get. So we'll go through and we'll look at everything that we've got and we'll decide these are going to happen, these aren't going to be able to happen this time around. And it makes it very simple and easy for everybody to understand the position that we're in and where we're going to be with moving this to the next level. And that's the bit that's most important for most people who are going to be around and actually seeing where we are. So because of that and understanding that we need to work through and piece together exactly what's happened, it becomes more important for us to think about the documentation from that side. And the other side of documentation, if we come through here, is the end user documentation. Okay, and that's the bit which is more fluffy, in inverted commas. It needs to be something that will support the consumption of your report content. And this is why, for us, that report, that end user side, the end user facing piece, is 9 times out of 10 going to be something to do with bookmarks where we actually have different visibility. And overlaying visual specific information as the end user documentation, we have found in our years of doing this, is the most effective way of actually doing it. Because if you say, oh, we're going to take, print out screenshots for every page in all your reports. So bear in mind, we've had models, with over 100 reports in them. So assuming 2 or 3 pages per report, that's 300 or 400 pages of documentation. If you're just copying those out, put them somewhere else, who's maintaining them? Who goes through to actually review them? And let's be honest, is your customer actually going to look at them? And the answer to these is probably, well, not enough and no. And once you get to that point, the whole end user documentation piece, it's a bit of a, upside down frowny face, really, isn't it? And what we want is it to be a happy, smiley face that I understand what the content means, I understand what's going on. And I know what we will demo today and what we've shown in the past is kind of a bit, But the reality of what you should be picking from this is that gives us a reasonable amount of space that we can go in and we can put some really good content in about what's actually happening there. And because it overlays the visual that people are seeing, it makes it really, that bit there means this, as opposed to, well, I've got a guide here, but those things don't look like, I don't understand. everything's clear, easy to understand, and right there. So let's have a look, okay, at actually what goes on and what I mean when we're talking about these things. Okay, let's bring this over here. So open the Vertipaq analyzer file. Okay, so here is our Vertipaq analyzer file, okay, based on our Newcastle Parkrun report. And one of the things that people got straight away is go, oh, you've got these reds here. Okay, so these are violations, effectively. Now, in terms of this, it'll be to do with blanks or something like that. Okay, and it's not many. And if you think these are going through relationship-wise, so it's kind of half number. So we've got 3 rows that are failing validation, okay, across everything, which is then linking across on either side's of the relationship. Yeah. So your referential integrity violations. It's referential integrity is a link between 2 tables. Okay. So there's 2 sides. One link is broken, so it's got a left side and a right side, you could say, yeah. So it was saying 6 issues, that's 6 points across 2 tables with 3 rows. It's not going to kind of break everything. When you look and you say, well, we've got 500,000 rows of data from runs that we've had, we know 370,000 or something like that, runs plus then all the volunteer records that we've got. It's not a big, oh, this is terrible. So referential integrity isn't something we'd look at and say, in this case, we need to do something about it. This looks more like it's a data quality issue, and it's small enough that it's something we could probably look at manually, probably go and have a look in the files, or we could put something in the data flows as these process through and fix it. Okay. Instead, what I would always say to people is you actually we look at database size. Okay. This is one of those things that if you understand the database size, so what is taking up the space in your model, okay, and this one, it comes to around 10 megabytes in total, our model here that we've got. Bear in mind, this is bringing through over 1,000 spreadsheets, probably nearly 2,000 spreadsheets now. That's reasonable. That's okay, nothing too bad. And we can look and we can see, if we come back out of here, where are the tables that are the most prevalent. So we've got these 3 here. Okay, participation, people, and people events. So in a lot of ways, people events is a table that I think at some point I would like to be able to get rid of. It's kind of a derived table where we're aggregating or building an aggregation stream of information about the participant, the person. So it's a summary of their best performances, their worst performances at each event. And that it's useful because it stops us calculating all that information up front or when it's needed. And it's only really used by the tooltip for the person. So it's one of those where we need to weigh up, is it worth it, is it not worth it? But, given it's 20% of our model, nearly 18.5%, potentially this is a problem or could be a problem depending on what was going on. So it'd be worth us keeping an eye on this. The 2 main areas that we've got as issue, though, are our fact table, the participation, so in terms of the runs that people have done, and I know there's lots of inefficiencies in this fact table here, and people. So we go, okay, these 2 tables are the ones that are really causing us problems. Now, the nice thing that you can do with this, and this is one of the things you should be always remembering, is that if you click on the plus there to expand it, it actually gives you the information down at the specific column level. So we can now see at a column level what's going on here. And from there, we can work out, actually, of this entire table, nearly 34% of it is the parkrun IDs. Okay? This isn't to be surprised. Okay? Now, this table size is often to do with, it's related to how efficiently we can compress that particular column or that particular table. So for here, because parkrun ID is obviously unique, it makes it difficult. But fact tables, you have to have that foreign key in it. So we're kind of stuck with it there. The interesting would be if we went back to it. So I know I've converted it to be an integer. So we're just using the number side of the person's barcode as opposed to the proper parkrun side, which is prefixed with an A, which would make it text. And integers versus text, they're stored differently. You get different values of compression. Be interested to see the difference that that would make. But what we do have here is the ability to look and see, well, from there, as the total of our overall whole database size, that's nearly 14%, 13.7%, which is taking up 33.8% of that table. So we can start to piece together and work these out. Now, this model has been partially updated already. I was trying to work out if I got an old one that's really not very good. I don't think I do. It's terrible. I should probably try and find some pictures. But you'll always find, if you go through and you start and say, well, where are the biggest gotchas that we've got? So in our case, it is definitely this parkrun events table. Here would be the one we would look to get rid of. 66% of it is related to, what's it, the parkrun ID, which one? Need to work out what that is. So again, it's parkrun ID, which we know is the same one, and that's the problem that we have, that we end up having to join it all in, and that then takes up the most amount of space. The rest of the table structure actually isn't too bad. It's not a terrible structure. You know, the uniqueness of it, the way it's pieced together, it falls pretty much within a window, so your uniqueness of values isn't as bad as it would actually seem. So there's some interesting things there to see and to work through and work out. But we'd say, have a look at that, understand that. But that then is only going to come because your Vertipaq analyzer file is a core part of your technical documentation. In terms of the other side, export JSON files if you use data flows, do other things like those you want to keep there. And TMDL stuff actually is really good. So the TMDL content for a table, which has come all the way through, will allow you to actually, it gives you all the proper steps. Either export the JSON or go in and get the M script out for each query set that you want. You need to be careful because of the way they bleed through, especially if you're using multiple tables and with them joining together. But you need to work out the best way to extract that, and I don't want to get bogged down with it. Vertipaq's definitely how you deal with the actual data side of bringing that in. There's something you need to work through and figure that out as your organization, but it is something you have to do and that you will need to do right. Okay, let's get back to our deck. I can see it. Where is it? There we go. Okay, so the end user documentation side, where have we put all that again? Let me see, where's my... So if we have a look at our Newcastle Parkruns report, okay, what do we mean by we saying it's actually it's present? If we click on here, it's over here. So we can see, we could put more content in here, we could put a breakdown in it, you could split these up, you could put more in than you want. The key point is, because I can see what is behind here, so annual parkrun attendance per event with a cumulative total, I can, all right, that's what that means. I'm not having to go and look at a document, refer to it, look at it, which you'll find people do. It's really all there for me. And then nicely, we've got it so you just kind of click and it goes away. Okay? So that's, for me, where the end user documentation needs to sit. Okay? Here we go. Yeah? So lastly, apps. Now, apps, and we'll do a demo. We always said we were going to build an app as part of the demo for today. What apps do is they are very much about the read-only experience. And the gotcha of apps is always the same, that an app is a clone of the content of the workspace that has been served to that audience or audiences. Okay? And there's no pretty way of putting it. It is a clone. I might try and show you the URL piece, but it's too complicated, I think, to kind of easily explain. What it means is, and this is again why I say deployment pipelines fall short with this, deployment pipelines don't publish apps properly, and they don't publish apps full stop at the moment. I know they keep talking about it, so it might happen in the next week, next month, suddenly it's going to publish apps. The problem with it is, and the problem now is the new organizational apps that are being discussed, where you can put multiple apps in one workspace, is, and I think this is really clear about, the current workspace apps, you have one app per workspace. An app can have up to 10 audiences. Okay? So you've got 10 strands through. And this is why we say, let's look at that and say, right, this is going to be our senior leadership team app. And we might say, well, this section is going to be visible by, say, just our chief people officer, because this deals with the specifics of these are the salaries of every member of staff in the business. For example, you might say, we're going to do that. A report that allows them to get down, really drill into a particular store and see, right, Juan at our store in Manchester, he's the janitor, he gets paid X pounds an hour. Okay? You know, I can see those reports being built. I've seen them being built in the past, but we don't want everyone to have access to them. But you might get to the point where we say, right, the chief people officer may have a legitimate reason to be able to see at that level what's going on, whereas the rest of the board might just see Manchester store, this is the wage bill for them. Okay? Key difference we understand. We need to be clear about what those differences are. So we have a different audience for that, but that then all sits in one place. Now, the content of that workspace, okay, has a life cycle to it where we're going to upgrade, we're going to make changes, we're going to improve it. When you update it, unless you update the app, the people who view the app aren't going to see those changes. So you need to get that into your workflow. But the nice thing is it allows you to prepare the content of the workflow, of the workspace before you promote the app. So you can do an awful lot before it's visible to everyone else. And that then allows you to spend a number of days, even weeks, piecing together what you need. And you might get to the point of saying, well, we're ready 2 weeks before we're going to promote it to live and go through a full, hey, this is what's happening, look out for thing in your organization. So what we can do from there is we can then say, right, in my business, I need to say, prepare what happens for this app. And if you then say, well, we've actually got 15 apps feeding off here, and we've got then 10 different versions of the same page because this one goes, it becomes really complicated very quickly. So I understand the reasoning, I understand why it's happened and what people have done to get this and to drive for it. But I think we need to be careful. Okay? I do think there's some real gotchas that we could find in that area. So just be warned. I've given you that advice. It's up to you as to whether you take it. Okay. The demo piece. Let's have a look, see what we're going to talk about with this. What does this actually look like? Come on. Here we go. Oh. There's my thing. There are days I hate doing this. Right. Okay. So here we are. So if we have a look, yeah, B2B app one. So we've started this already. I've kind of done a few things to move this further forward. What we've got is we've got the idea, don't we, that we had the ability to create folders. And this was something I wanted to test. Can we do this? And we can move stuff, put it in a folder, app content. So potentially that's going to help when we're piecing together multiple apps. And the issue was, certainly with the Workspace apps, and again, we potentially need to check and see what's going on with the organizational apps, so that they're still in preview, and I'm not going to look too much at them. But when you come to update the app and your content, and we look to add content, I don't have any way of seeing subfolders. So is this going to work? Is it not going to work? I don't know. So in our example here, what we would look to do is we would say, right, what's in the app content is what's going to be published as our app. That's what's there. That's the important thing. And we've got the ability then to piece together multiple multiple dashboards, and then we use the dashboards very much as our menu system that allow us to go back and forth around the data and around the report content so that we can then see, this is what's happening in my business. So it makes perfect sense. This is the right thing to do, okay, from your end user's accessibility perspective. And it's going to be that whole management side that you're accepting or you're dealing with. So what I've done here is I've built this. So we've taken the Newcastle Park Runs report that we've seen before. Okay, we've got everything in there that we've got. It's great. We can see it all. But what we've done is what I was thinking is, well, should we try and put this together as something that would work as just the app? Okay, as an app as opposed to it being, as an app, as opposed to it being as anything else. So I wanted to say, well, let's go through. Because one of the things that we're trying to work through is here. Okay, so there's still some things to do. Yeah, and you can see this is how you know, because there's no drill through from down here. But we're piecing it all together. So what I've got here, if we come back, is we've got the personal report. Okay, and that then will allow me to go through and see. And if we went through here, we look at Park Run ID. Oh, can you let me search? Not let me search, is it? We can come through here. Okay, so we've got this. Let's run this. Go to the settings, and if you remember, one of the things I said is we need to make sure that when you come through here, cross-report drill through is enabled. Yeah, remember, it needs to be on both sides. So I'll save that, and I'll just double check, make sure it is enabled on here. 99% certain it is. No. Even though I did say in the checkbox for it, to enable it. So we come to here. Let's go to Jasmine Dean. And let's go to Saturday's event. 210. Let's find 31, also 28, wasn't it? It still isn't allowing me to do a drill through from there. I might need to do some tweaking on this. Okay, but everything else is working as expected. So we've got me, we've got everything, we can see what I've done. Okay, this is the right thing. This is how we want it to go. But what we would want to do is to get everything running properly. And you can see I've removed people, because when you look at this in the way we've written it, where we've just got one report to make it available for free, we're doing things just kind of shoehorning stuff in to make it work as opposed to doing it correctly. So what we would need to do, and I will open up here. Okay. So how did I do all this? So what I actually did was I went through to my Jasmine Dean Park Run report area. And again, this was one of the things. So if you've gone through and you started simply and you said, right, we've now built this report pack. We've got this here. I want to now make this more professional, as it were. So we want to separate the data from the visualizations. You come to the report that you've got that does it badly, as well. And we go to File, download this file, and instead of going with the report and data, go with the next one down. And you're just going to download this. Now, this would be the same option that you would have for any other report pack that you've built. So we can open this. Okay, then it will open it just like any other report that we've got. Okay, but this is now a thin report as opposed to anything else. And we've got all the pages, we've got even all the hidden pages. So what I was going to do with this was I thought, right, let's make this be our people page. Okay, so this is our people new. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove this volunteers, which I hate. Okay, and the only reason why we've got the volunteers link in there is because I was trying to shoehorn everything in. And I'm going to also remove the participant search, again, because I was trying to shoehorn too much in to try and make something that would work in one report. So we've gone with that. So I'm going to unhide that. Then I'm going to remove these other pages. Let's do that for now, right? And I'm just going to remove this because it's not going to be something like that. And I've got to leave these other things in because I'm not going to change everything. No, I'm going to remove that. Okay, so then I'm just going to go File, Save As. We'll save it into our demo space. People. Okay. So we're going to rename this page to people. People, not page. Okay. So we've now just got this page looking at. Now, so what I can do now is, like I say, let's publish this, save the changes again, pick the page, the app workspace that we've got. Simple, that's done. Okay. Won't take too long. It's a small report page. It's done. Now if we go through to File, let's open this again. And then this time we can turn around and we can say, right, where's it gone? Here it comes. Not now. This time, let's keep a volunteer. Yeah. Okay. So we'll keep volunteer. Okay, I'm leaving these TT ones just because these are tooltips. TT pages, tooltips. I'm going to show you the other pages. Nothing secret in these pages. So we've got track tooltip, volunteer tooltip, volunteer is the page we're going to keep. Personal report, which again, just allows us to see the personal report. We'll remove that though, because we're going to keep that in the volunteers. We don't want to do that. Got this, which is one I need to get working again. It worked for Jasmine Dean. There's a couple of things going on with it, just with the difference in scale for it, these tooltips. And then we've got some pages where we've just been looking through, trying to work out and testing some things. And does this work? I don't think this works very well. Does this work? I think it'd be nice, but yeah, it's not doing it for me. And streams, when I was trying to work through, is a better way of presenting what goes on. Okay, well, this is really the one we want for this page. So I'm going to go, just saw that. Let's remove that. Okay, so we've got the volunteer overview, got the information there. What we can do is we can then say let's File, Save As. This is again going to be in our demos. Volunteers. We'll make these ones that are in the demos, potentially we can put those up so you can have a look and see what's going on. I don't know how that would work, but we can think about it. So we've built that. Next, we'll publish it, and we're going to publish it to the B2B app one. And again, remember you could put multiple of these together, right? There's nothing saying that you have to have a single one or do it all in one. Once that's published, we then have everything we could possibly want, don't we? So if we go up here, let me just minimize this as well. Here we are. Let's go to Workspace, B2B. And what we can see here then is we can see here are these report pages now. So if I look at volunteer, see, here's my summary of volunteer information. I can say, well, I'm just interested in, say, Jasmine Dean. I can say I'm just interested in Ross. When we hover over, does it give us any options? You see it doesn't yet. So the tooltip still isn't working with this. Edit. Not edit, sorry. I barred. Here it's settings, isn't it? So go to settings. Ross report drill through. Save that. Let's check this personal report. Let's see what's going on with this. Edit here. Let me go to, so we've got that. Yeah, keep up cross report. Yeah. Volunteer. Oh, let me remove that. Right, so you can't do a cross-report drill through from these, can you? Drill through destination. None, which is fine. Reading view, save that. Okay. So I can't get across. So cross-fault drill through is not going to work today, which is typical demo world. I love how that works. We could obviously put those back in, do it, and we'd have multiple copies of the drill through, which is annoying. If you're going to do cross-report drill through, this is why I'm glad you've seen it, because it's one of those things. It's happened to me a few times whereby we have instances where things happen. We need to go back through, republish it, and it takes a while before it fully gets picked up. So be careful, watch out what's going on with it. But you can see we've suddenly got this structure where everything is available, but it isn't all shoehorned together like I've had to do in the free report. And what it means here is we could turn around and say, right, we're going to update the app. What we need to do actually, so we need to create a dashboard, don't we, first bit. So we go, let's go with UCAS park runs. And we can say, well, what are we going to pick as our cornerstone for this? So I think what we could do is we could say, you can't do those, can you? You can't do maps onto dashboards, can you? I think you can, yeah. So we're going to create a new dashboard. So you can't drill through, isn't it? Yeah. So we go there. Let's go back to here. So actually, let's come back to here and let's go to our park run report. And then we can say, well, let's actually go in and edit this, add a tile, text box, people, reports about people, custom link to an existing report or dashboard, and what we want here is people. Apply that, make that smaller. We're going to go and edit, add. This is going to be volunteer. Reports about volunteers. Custom link to there, and it's going to be volunteering. Okay, and again in there you saw we didn't have any options around what we're doing. Okay, so we've got something now. So we can then say, if we come back to here, let's update our app, look at the content that we're going to put in the app, and the content we want to put in, let's go to add content. What we really want to do is we're going to add volunteers, people report, park run, and Newcastle park runs. Add. Okay. And then we need to go to the audiences, and what you can see is all this stuff at the bottom is hidden, so we're going to unhide that. Okay. Update the app, update it. Okay, go to the app. And you can see, so what I could have done, actually what we should do, let's go back to here. If we go back, go back, and this time pick the workspace, not the app. See that two are different. And we'll go to update the app, the content. Let's go to add a new section. Okay, so we've now got a park run section. I'm just going to put this right there for now. Okay. We'll put in Newcastle park runs there, park run report, personal report, volunteers, and people. Okay, we might take the dashboard, but no, leave the dashboard in there. Okay, so we're going to update the app there. Okay, so we've put all the conditions there. We've shared this with the right audiences. We can now go to the app. You can see we've got park run here. We expand that. We go to the park run report. We can choose to either go and see, well, show me the main report pack. Or you come back and say, show me the people, or show me the volunteers. Okay, so it's all very easy to do, and you can see this is what we mean when we say, well, we've actually got everything all linked together, and everything's come together for this person to see. So if my report or my work required me to look at the sales dashboards, as well as seeing, well, actually what's going on with our park run in the area, what do I need if I need to contact and get some work done for this? I go to Geordie Consulting for it. It puts everything very much front and center in terms of what's actually happening within your organization. And that's the big power piece that Power BI and its apps will bring to the table for you and for your business. Okay? No questions? No questions. Brilliant. Okay? Does that make sense? Yeah? Brilliant. If we minimize this right here, this is one of those things why we talk about it, isn't it? That when you piece together and get the idea of saying, right, we need to get those strands going, the problem that many businesses will have and many people will have is that we want our business to do all this today, and we don't know how to go. We don't know where that starts from. And that's really what a consultancy does. That's what consultancy should bring to the table for you. And this is kind of the difference that we talk about. I was trying to think about this today when I was actually heading into the office this morning. What is the difference between consultancy and contract? Okay, and there's kind of everyone, I don't understand. Okay, a lot of people pay attention to consultancy, they don't pay attention to contract. And there's a lot of truth in there. And potentially it's mislabeled, it's misspent. But the key thing is that a contractor works for you. It's a way of kind of having somebody who's working under you and under your guidance to do something. And they may have more skills. They probably do have more skills than your team have. That's why you've used an external contractor for it. They bring skills to the table for a particular point. So there's power at the point. Very good. But fundamentally, they are working under you. So you have to have the skills in your organization and awareness to be saying, right, this is the strategic focus that we're asking for based on what we want in our vision. And that's the bit that contractors can struggle to do and to deliver. And this isn't where I say, contracts are terrible. Contracts are very good. There's a really good point and good way of using them. But you need to be aware a contractor is based on what you are able to do. Okay? A consultancy, rather, you're paying somebody who has those skills and expertise to come in and help. So Geordie Consulting is, of course, our consulting partner, kind of big business that we are. There's going to be, we do have a third company coming as well, which we might talk about at the end of this. But this is the point. So with Geordie Intelligence, where we've got the YouTube channel kind of giving you the information, helping you move forward. Because that's the core piece that a good consultancy will also do for you, is they will try and empower you to take over and manage the solution and own the solution. That's what we do. And if you're an organization that says, well, we don't want to own it, we don't want to pay someone to do it all the time, chances are Geordie Consulting aren't the ones for you. Okay? Because Geordie Consulting is very much about saying, you will get the most value out of this when, if we go back here and we look at this app cycle piece, you own that because you know who's going to do it. And the consultancy side, consultancy can well help and will help in terms of these bits here when you're doing it. But in terms of saying we need to live, in terms of saying, sorry, I need to press my button, we need to live in this space, these, yeah, you need that local knowledge. And that local knowledge isn't going to come from a consultancy. Okay, we can help, but it becomes really difficult if you say, well, we're not there. We can help you establish that framework, put together the guidance. You may say we're going to use contractors because they're going to be effectively part of our team while we're upskilling, but you want to be thinking through what goes on. And again, we can help with all of that and support you in those discussions that you want to have. So this is why I would always say, kind of book a meeting, have that conversation, speak to Geordie Consulting, and work out what it is that you want for your data journey to move your business to the next level. Yeah? Good. All right. So what are we doing next? So the next step that we're going to be actually doing for for me and for a lot of what I'm doing is I'm actually going to be doing a lot less video content at the moment. So I'm going to keep doing it, but we're going to be a lot shorter. We're going to be a lot more punchy, because what we're actually doing is we're looking at the new stage and the new business that we're going to be launching. So War Kids is coming. Okay, it is a community, or CIC, community interest company. And the point of this is very much around looking at the data, which again, we're all about the data. Looking at the data, there's just something wrong with how it is that we are working and how technology is supporting us as raising us and how we raise our children in the next generation. It just isn't right. Okay? More Kids is about tackling that. It's a three-phase approach to it. We want to protect, empower, and secure. So this is something that you will be seeing a lot more of. Be warned, not be warned, be aware, and I hope that you'll support us and be engaged and actually offer support. This is very much something that is going to be long-term, and there's very heavy goal on trying to make sure that we support our children, and in particular, as one of the biggest benefits of this, that the relationships that our children are having, especially those first real adult relationships that our children are having, that at the moment are just going wrong for so many children, that we can fix that and make those right and help really raise the bar and how children are raised and make them much better for everybody. Yeah? Great. So you can see we've kind of covered an awful lot, okay, in our 16 weeks. And yeah, I'm going to be doing a lot less long content. We'll do a lot shorter videos, probably more about the 10, 15-minute length at most for the next few months. Really want to try and work out how we get this CIC fully off the ground, and we can start to lobby, campaign, get government support on this, because there's no reason why the UK government can't support this. There's no reason why any government globally can't support this. This isn't about making political statements. This is about coming up with a strategy that supports your area, your children, and ultimately you as a parent. I'm a parent. I've raised my kids. There are things I probably haven't done that well, things I maybe have done all right with, but I know there's things everyone talks to me about and says the same thing, which is, I don't know what I need to do. How can I do this? War Kids is going to be about that. So I'll be focusing on that for a while, but I will still be supporting this. We'll still be doing the consultancy. But yeah, I hope you've enjoyed it. So I hope you have enjoyed that. As I say, leave a message down below. Let me know what you think. Keep in touch. Keep watching the videos. Keep telling me what you want to see as well, especially when I'm doing shorter content. The more you tell me, the easier that is for us to do. For now, stay safe. Take care.